In 2024, we didn't have a choice. In 2020, if you want to be honest, we didn't have a choice. It was Bernie versus Biden. Like, that's not, okay? 2016, same thing. 2028, it's going to be Baskin and Robbins, man. You're going to have 31 flavors.
Yeah.
And if I decide to do it, I'm going to be Rocky Road. Okay? You will have every flavor you want. It is going to be immensely crowded. And you know what? Good. And not just to this. The truth of the matter is, both the country and the party have not had a debate about the future. In 20 years, we have had two presidents, both parties, that are about returning a past that is not coming back. Build back better, make America great, while different in certain areas, are about restoring something that is not coming back. The question before all of us as Americans is, what future are we going to build?
We have another massive treat for you here right now. Our North America editor, Edward Luce, in conversation with Ambassador Rahm Emanuel. Enjoy.
Thank you, Janine. Real pleasure to be here. Spectacular setting with you, Rahm. Fresh off the Obama.
I was going to say, the spectacular setting you meant the background, not me.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I was just going to skate over your appearance, track shoes.
Yeah. Well, like a family member.
And you're fresh off your Obama Library opening yesterday. But I want to sort of give a slightly different context, which is you getting back from Japan 17 months ago as Biden's ambassador to Japan. You've been pretty frenetic. I mean, you were born hyper-caffeinated, as we were just discussing. You've been pretty frenetic ever since. You've been just on a bike tour of New Hampshire. You've been down to Mississippi to look at schools, Wisconsin to look at vocational. You've got a regular CNN slot. You write a column for a newspaper whose name I can't remember. I mean, some newspaper. So it sounds like you're preparing to launch a podcast of some kind. Is that correct? Or are you running for something else?
U.S. history for 200. No, I'm going around the country. One, to make sure I have a sense what I do believe, which is what anguishes everybody, is that the foundation for a middle-class life, every piece of the pillars are broken. We went from 26-year-old average buying a home to 40. College education was supposed to be your pre-TSA into the middle class. Now it's your ticket straight to your parents' basement and $30,000 of debt. People are taking money out of their retirement to make today's paycheck stretch to the 31st of the month. And healthcare has become an unending debate with the insurance company telephone reception. 50% of all medical professionals spend their time today arguing with the insurance company who know one word in the English language, no. I'm going to give them Google translation, try the word yes once. And that is broken, and the question is, do you have what it takes to fix it? Do you know what you want to do, which I think I do, to get this country back on track? And people, because I believe this, the moment the American dream became unaffordable is exactly when American democracy became unstable. And if you want to restore democracy, if that's the thing that you want to do, which I do, it's not through motor voter, same-day voting, mail-in ballot, which I'm for. When 80% of the people don't think they can access, or their kids can access the American dream, guess what? They get very upset, and they take it out. So that's kind of a piece of it. And I am, then on another level, I really enjoyed Japan. I learned a tremendous amount. I think I contributed a tremendous amount about our policy in the Indo-Pacific. But the country I learned the most about was the United States of America, being 8,000 miles away, and I did not recognize a country that I called home. We built on, all of us, on this ethos that failure is not an option. And we, as a country, and everybody in this room, including moi, have gotten totally okay that 50% of our kids can't read at grade level. Math scores just came out, the worst in 30 years. Nobody is doing anything. And I say this by way of to illustrate and drive this further. The President of the United States, when they call, trust me, you sit up straight. I've been on the receiving end of that call. Every morning, and multiple times a day, he's on the phone with the Interior Secretary about this disastrous reflecting pool, the ballroom, the arch. When did he ever call the Secretary of Education about reading scores? You know his position on windmills. He's never mentioned it. Nor has a single governor or mayor said we have a national priority. And unlike 30 years ago with the Nation at Risk Bloom report, today, because of the Mississippi miracle, we know exactly what to do. We lack political will. If our kids are okay, screw it. And so, as you can tell, I'm getting my caffeinated blood pressure up, and I'm going to try to control it. I swam today, did an hour of weights, hoping I'd calm down. So that's what I'm thinking about. And the American people have not given up on America, but they think America has given up on them. And so that's why, look at that. And they have every right to be angry about it.
So I want to get into the economy.
You want to unpack all that?
And the campaign. No, I want to just park it for a moment because I've got to ask you.
You want to park it for a moment? I want to park you for a moment.
I want to
okay?
I am parked comfortably.
Yeah.
I am where you want me to be.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
The whole speech was about don't get parked. Hit the drive button, okay? Okay, go ahead.
My plan of action's crumbling as we speak.
Remember, your credit cards are exposed. I can take them at any time, okay?
You're not going to throw me off. I want to ask you about the news, and that's the Memorandum of Understanding that Trump signed in Versailles. Of all
It will be
places.
known as the Memorandum of Misunderstanding.
Yeah. Carry on.
Well, let me take a step back. Because to me, I mean, the easy thing to do is if you go through the president's Truth Social, but when he declared the objectives of this military operation, this war, none of that has been met. None of it. And worse than that, if you go to February 26th, the day before, Iran had lost Syria. Their other three proxies, both the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah, were degraded. You can say different variations of, but just take degraded in a significant way. Iran's economy was broken. Iran, in the last 12 years, has had 5 major uprisings. Each uprising, they've had to kill more Iranians to stay in power. And in the last uprising, for the first time of the 5, the youth and the merchant class combined. They killed, I don't know, 20 to 40,000. Nobody knows the exact number, but it wasn't 2 or 4. It started with a 2 or a 4, but it wasn't 2 and 4. There was no relationship between the government and civil society. It was broken. Rule 1 of politics, when your enemy's in a knife fight with themselves, don't get involved. And Israel and the United States did. And in the end, they looked at the uranium and they realized, well, that's like a 10-year project. Why have a nuclear option? Why have nuclear weapons when we can have the nuclear option? And it's called the Strait of Hormuz, as you're seeing right now as we're talking play out. They have a nuclear option. They hold the world economy. 2, they've also discovered that while the president thinks he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal, they're going to teach him a lesson, which is the Persian lesson, the art of the negotiation. And he just got schooled unbelievably. And 3rd, if you look since 1979, or 4th, if you look since 1979, at no time did Iran ever want to confront America directly. Even when Trump 1.0 kills Soleimani, in Iraq, they notified America time, place, location of their attack, so nobody would get hurt. They now know, not only do they have the Strait of Hormuz, they also now know we can take the best punch you have and we're still standing in the ring. So two things that were never discovered, never actually fully went from implicit all the way to explicit, has now discovered. And they can hold the United States as they are. And they can hold Israel. And they can now, the third thing that they've discovered is that the United States doesn't, their long-term goal, which is to get America out of the Middle East. And America, inch by inch, either is getting out or our allies are pushing us out. And also knowing something about the region, while there may not be, quote unquote, a toll, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Iraq, Oman, all the countries in the region will pay protection money. It won't be called a toll, it won't be called a fee, but if you know anything about that part of the world, they will place what is called protection money to get the thing. So this, I'd like to say another word, but I'm in the interest of not ruining your Sabbath. I will not say how I want to describe this. It is the single worst thing, and there's a lot of competition for it, American national security mess that I've ever seen.
So you are not a deep admirer of Bibi Netanyahu, I think it's fair to say.
Your ability to spot the obvious is a gift. And I want you to keep that gift because it's a talent, okay? Edward, it's a...
So Netanyahu and you have a history of loathing each other, is another way of putting it. It's clear from the American intelligence, from President Trump's intel, that they believe that Netanyahu is going to try and torpedo the 60 days and longer of negotiations between the US and Iran. What, and you yourself, in your shadow campaign, whatever we call it, you have
shadow
said,
cabinet.
Well, your dress rehearsal, whatever this is. You have said that you would end a $3.8 billion subsidy annual subsidy to Israel, military subsidy, and you'd go further. You would embargo Israel if Israel broke the Geneva Convention, whatever it is, broke the laws of war. Mm-hmm. Could you expand on that? Would you actually do that?
Well, so a couple things. So everybody has the predicate that you. So in 2009, it's, at least in my family, famous. It probably isn't famous. Is we have this big disagreement in the White House, and I opposed in 2009, 20 years ago, what they were doing on housing in the West Bank, and it got, I know you find it shocking, heated. And publicly afterwards, I said that you are going to isolate Israel and it will lead to perpetual conflict. If there was a prediction I wanted to be wrong around, that was it. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, publicly, he accused me of being a self-loathing Jew. And when your name is Rahm Emanuel, that's like a unique capacity. And you can sell. I've easily let it just rush off. But on a serious note, I think what I said then 20 years ago, unfortunately has bared out. Israel has never been more, quote unquote, militarily secure, but is more diplomatically, strategically isolated than ever before in 78-year history. Now, Yitzhak Rabin infamously said, you make peace as if there's no terror, and you fight terror as if there's no peace. This prime minister has only listened to one plank of that side. There is no political, diplomatic, or strategic follow-up to the military operations. Israel has adopted 3 tactics, of which only one of the 3 over 30 years has operated. One was unilateral moves. They got out of Lebanon, they got out of Gaza, they got Hezbollah, Hamas. No politics. 2, they've adopted divorce and occupation on the West Bank, and they've gotten a another failure on their hand, mainly also because they've kept, over the years, undermining the Palestinian Authority, who have done their own job of undermining themselves. The only option that has worked for Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Abraham Accords, is negotiating with established states. That is the only of the three options that has worked for Israel in the instruments of their security apparatus. Now, July 8th, I will go to Israel at the invitation of Tel Aviv University to give a major address, or at least my mother thinks it's major, a major address on U.S.-Israel relationship, where it stands and where it's going. And I'm going to lay out what I think has to happen if we're going to make this relationship work, but it has to have a different relationship because it's at a crossroads, and the Prime Minister has driven Israel into a wall. 5 years ago, it was known as the Startup Nation, and today he wants to make it Sparta. Wait, I'm getting started. Sit down.
All right.
This is my interview, you're my guest. 2, you are known for your technological prowess, and now you're a territorial pariah. Your scientists can't go anywhere. Your sports teams can't go anywhere. Your academics can't go anywhere. What has this led to? And your most important alliance is politically, you've lost Europe, you lost America, and you picked up Somaliland. As my grandmother would say, such a deal. So I'm going to lay this out, but I would say, as I've said publicly, and I was there when we was in the room with President Obama when we funded the Iron Dome, which was the right thing to do because it protects citizens and innocents from missiles. The days of you getting U.S. taxpayer support for weapons that comes to the total of $3.8 billion is over. You can buy the weapons like any other ally, same price, same restrictions, and same requirements of any ally for any weapon. And that means abiding by our laws. That is what I said. There will be other things I lay out when I'm there, but that's what I think is where the relationship is. Now, the Prime Minister, I think, looking at the politics, has come to a similar conclusion.
You also mentioned embargo.
Yeah, no, what I mentioned was the weapons, exactly. And if you don't abide them, there's consequences. What I have mentioned, and I've said before and publicly, is you have a government today that is complicit with terrorizing Palestinians on the West Bank. You're burning farmland. You're killing citizens. I think the United States, over the years, while we oppose it, have never actually laid a price on it. I'm not only for sanctioning the individuals, government officials that are part of that, I'm for sanctioning, and I'll be laying out other things that are like that. This is not anymore what you're doing on the West Bank, which is against America's interests as it relates to our commitment for Palestinian sovereignty and Israeli security. This is against our interest. Therefore, like we do with other countries, there will be a price to pay. You have to figure out whether you're willing to pay that financial, political, and diplomatic price. But we are not going to be complacent or complicit with a violation of what we think is the strategic interest for this country. And our complacency over the years has engendered the worst of your politics and endangered America and interests in the region.
Do you worry that the Democratic Party is not just becoming critical of Israel, but becoming an anti-Zionist party? If you look at the opinion polls, it's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, Edward, I think, I get that question, and it's interesting to me that everybody asks it. Well, first of all, it's a generational thing. It's not a party thing. It's under 30. Look, the last 3 years is as much defining of Israel for my kids' generation as the Six-Day War was for people in this room. And Israel's, and this gets back to what I mean about why the Prime Minister doesn't understand, I think, the geostrategic laid out crisply by Prime Minister Rabin. You have presented Israel as a single-dimensional war machine and abandon any effort to make peace achieve security and stability. And everything I said here has been said by the leadership of the entire IDF and other security apparatuses of Israel. Nothing I said here makes you anti-Israel. If anything, I'm trying to, as a good friend, to take the keys away from a person who's driving drunk. And don't make that the headline. But it's really, and so you say the party, there are elements that are just anti-Israel. I happen to think the alliance is worth saving, but it won't be saved on the present course.
We're in New York, and the mayor of this town, Zohran Mamdani, got a pretty popular.
Yeah, but Edward, well, how about Tucker Carlson?
Right, but,
Okay, so it's
but that's not your party, and I presume
no,
it's
but
not
it is my
remotely your
country.
space.
But it is my country.
Yeah.
No, it isn't my party, but it is my country, and I don't only get defined by my party. Are there elements in my party that's anti-Israel? Yeah, that doesn't. You didn't ask me to sit here on Saturday morning to say the obvious, but there are other elements too. But my point is, if you look at all the data, you look at everything, feelings towards Israel are generational, not
I
partisan.
Get that. I wasn't going to get you to say the obvious. I'm genuinely curious what your assessment of Zohran Mamdani is.
Well, I mean, we met before he was elected mayor. We had breakfast, and when we walked in, I said, I can't tell who's going to hate this meeting more, my rabbi or AOC. And my guess is that's still an open question of who's going to hate it more. Look, he's a good mayor in the sense of what he's trying to do. We have our policy differences. I'll give you one illustration example. When I became mayor, I made fighting food deserts a major issue. That we have major parts of the city of Chicago that don't have a grocery or other type of food anywhere within a mile of their home. And where I live in Chicago, we have 7 options within a mile, and other people, you have to go 7 miles to find an option. Now, through a lot of different policies, and I don't want to take time here, we reduced food deserts by 25 to 30%. Different policies. He wants to do a grocery store in every bureau. Is that what I did? No. Did we have the same objective? Yes. Did we do it different ways? We'll see whether his grocery store, one in Brooklyn, one in Queens, we'll see if it works.
Sure.
Okay? So my sense is he loves his city. We have many disagreements. And I said to him, you are your father's son. I am my father's son. I believe the river to the sea will never happen. And I also believe, which you've never articulated, Mr. Mayor, a greater Israel will never happen. Both are fantasies chanted by fanatics. You got to hear how I hear a river to the sea, because I've heard you and I've spoken out against a greater Israel, which you have not done in the sense.
Okay.
So, but I think he loves his city and he's trying to build it.
So let's talk about 2028, but I want to start by asking about what went wrong in 2024. You saw Hillary Clinton.
It looks like we're going to be here till midnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll interrupt if necessary, because we're going to have 15 minutes for audience questions.
Oh, okay.
But Hillary Clinton said that it was a terrible mistake for Biden to run again. And she wasn't massively complimentary about Kamala Harris's 107-day campaign either. Could I get your take on that?
So, I think President Biden should not have run. That's not like an insight. 2, he made a pledge, and he knows it, and everybody in the staff knows it, which is, he said, I will be a transitional president. Mm-hmm. And he broke that. Now, the one thing I do know from 8 years of the Oval Office is the Oval Office is probably the most seductive place in the world. Until he destroyed it with all the gold, it is clearly It oozes power from every place, every wall, every painting, everything. The White House is also the most insular place in the world. They want you to read that right there. Okay?
Discreetly close my bottom button.
Okay.
Is that discreet enough?
I wanted you to know I've held my thought, helped him get dressed, and keep you guys informed. I am so ready for another bike ride, okay? So I mean, the White House, you tried for 40 years to get there. I get that it's hard to give up, but you made a pledge.
Yeah.
And the family should have made you keep your pledge. And the White House staff owed the president honesty. I cannot tell you, and I'll give you since we're on the eve of Obama. Look, I gave the president advice when we had this big meeting in the spring of '09. I said I would go with financial services first. Beat the hell out of the banks. The country needed to see you. We had this big meeting, the 3 children, healthcare, financial services, or cap and trade. Breaking news, I lost that fight. But I gave him best, and I gave him advice, no, just let me finish. I gave him advice, etc. But every day he wanted me to come in and tell him, not get groupthink, where this was costly, how this was. The White House owed the president that and Jill Biden the honesty. Now, number 2, I have a slightly different view than C.W. around. Now, Kamala Harris gets the baton. She goes from down 3 to up 8 when she's on the message of change. Everybody knew what change was. Somewhere after the debate and after the View, she decides to run on democracy, which becomes continuity, and goes from +3, down 8 to +3. That's an 11-point swing. That's not a statistical error. And when she decides to go to democracy, which basically translates into continuity, she loses. And when I find the person who recommended to close the campaign on democracy, don't look for where the manslaughter started. I'm like crazed, like, what was it that the President Biden's message for the last year and a half indicated that's what you should close on? When you went up based on actually addressing not only change, but the pieces of the puzzle that reflected change. So I think I actually do think, and remember, Trump does not get about 50%. The country did not want to vote for him. I think she had a chance to win. And so I think both President Biden should never have run, waited too long to make the decision, not having a primary process, and the campaign that Kamala Harris ran was a mess in 2024. And then, lastly, getting us wrapped around what I call a cultural cul-de-sac that made the party sound absolutely so disconnected from the American people. I'm sorry, when schools finally open, don't have a debate about bathroom access when it should be about classroom excellence. What a stupid mistake that was. Literally, schools are closed for 2 years. Parents find out that their kids aren't doing what they're supposed to do. We open the doors, and what do? Bathroom and locker room access, that's number 1. Your kids aren't reading, they're not doing math, and you're wondering why people reject you? Because you're not talking about what happens. As I joke, you have to be good in the kitchen, the family room, and the only room we occupied was the bathroom. It's the smallest room in the house. It's crazy.
So I'm taking up, so your former boss, I guess, Nancy Pelosi, you were number 3, right, said democracy is saved at the kitchen table. That's a message you agree with. It looks like Kamala Harris is going to run again. Is that a good idea?
She'll make that decision. Well, first of all, she's not going to listen to this, and she won't, she'll make that decision. It's up to her to decide. I think, here's what I will say. In 2024, we didn't have a choice. In 2020, if you want to be honest, we didn't have a choice. It was Bernie versus Biden. Like, that's not, okay? 2016, same thing. 2028, It's going to be Baskin and Robbins, man. You're going to have 31 flavors.
Yeah.
And if I decide to do it, I'm going to be Rocky Road. Okay? You will have every flavor you want. It is going to be immensely crowded. And you know what? Good. And not just to this. The truth of the matter is, both the country and the party have not had a debate about the future. In 20 years, we have had two presidents, both parties, that are about returning a past that is not coming back. Build back better, make America great, while different in certain areas, are about restoring something that is not coming back. The question before all of us as Americans is, what future are we going to build? You're now getting 113 miles uphill in New Hampshire right now. This is like, and I can't wait for this debate, and I really don't know if I'm going to do it, but if I do it, I want to have a debate about the future. There are things to draw lessons from the past, but restoring it, there's no smelling salts that's going to make the New Deal coalition come back together and alive. It isn't. And to the Democratic Party, which I am a part of, in 3 presidentials in a row, 7 states and 500,000 voters distributed across those 7 states have decided the presidency. We're at 32% of the country identifies as Democrats. 50%, or just shy, identify as independents. Maybe you want to align yourself with the guys that are at 50% half the country. You think it's funny. It's going to take a lot of beating to get there. The only way to win in North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania is to align yourself with a group of voters who don't want to go with the other side. You may push them there, but remember, 2016, 2020, 2024, 7 states, 500,000 people, however they decide who is the president in 2016, 2020, and 2024. And to me, the party needs to have a debate about the future that aligns us and finds common ground with 50% of the country that says, both of you suck. Again, I haven't crossed the line yet in 30 minutes, but I want to be clear. That's what we have to do, and it has to be about the future, not of a nostalgia about a past that is not preparing America for something we've never, ever experienced. We have a country called China that is 3 times our size, that wants to bury us, that wants to replace us. We have never in our 250 glorious years ever faced a country bigger and badder than us. And if you think, as a country, we can build a future that has promise with 50% of our kids not reading at grade level, 50% not doing math at grade level, a school week that's gone down to 4 days, where 20% of our kids are missing 20% of the school year. We're not investing in our energy. We're cutting, based on this president, our National Institute of Health and our National Science Foundation. Well, great. Show me the script in the last 5,000 years of human civilization where that has ever worked. Now I would never bet against America, but we better start actually doing things that actually build a future for all Americans. Otherwise, we're giving up the game and forfeiting it. And that's my view.
Okay.
I was giving you enough time to button your shirt gracefully. That's all I was trying to do.
I was beginning to unbutton.
Okay,
it's getting exciting. I'm going to ask very quick, and this is going to be rapid fire, please, Rahm. Because I want to leave time for audience questions.
Good. What?
One of your proposals is that you would impose a cutoff limit for all federal offices, including the Supreme Court, but the president in particular, of aged 75. That would have ruled out Trump's second term, Biden's first, and Rahm Emanuel's second term.
Yeah.
How old are you, 66?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be 68 in 28. Okay,
here's the thing.
You'd be a one-term president. That's what you'd campaign on.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to campaign at 75, and it's not just the Supreme Court. It's all the federal judiciary.
Yeah.
We are a poor knockoff of the Brezhnev era. We are. I mean, let me give you, I was responsible in the Clinton White House to pass the assault weapon ban. That was my job. I worked with two senators, one Joe Biden and one Dianne Feinstein. And I say this with the greatest respect for Senator Feinstein. The last term, she did not know she was a senator. Ruth Bader Ginsburg decided to hold on, I can tell you this directly, way past what she should have. 75. You're not hitting your stride at 78. If you haven't gotten it done by 75, forget about it. Leave it as incomplete on the report card of life. Okay? Forget about it. And this is not, and I don't, you know, somebody said, oh, do it for, or just do it for yourself. No. Everybody. 75, if I'm insulting somebody, I'll hug you later. I don't care. It's over because we need a level of energy and a purpose where if you had a deadline, you may stop talking and start doing. Whoa, there's some breaking news. So.
Okay, questions. Yeah, the gentleman in the front, there's a mic coming to you. And don't give your full biography, just get to the question.
Yeah. Sir, my son,
Rapid round.
Yes,
Rapid
my son
round.
is 30, lives in New York, is a Mamdani fan. He's left of AOC.
Clearly the father's a problem.
Well, clearly. How do you get through the primary to get to the 50%?
How do who?
How do you get through the primaries?
If I said it here, it will be actually a secret. Look, here's what I'm going to say, honest. One, the one rule about politics is whatever the Trump itch is, that's what the country's going to look for, who will scratch that itch. Kennedy was the answer to Eisenhower. Clinton was the answer to Bush Reagan. It's not, so you're thinking ideologically, I get it. Very valid. And I'll come back to that. I think you miss what presidentials are about. And I think the itch, which is about character. And I think the itch will be about candor, authenticity, and strength. That's where the puck will be, not where it is today. And that's what I believe. And the other thing is, I'm at a point in my life, I'm gonna just tell you what I think. It's pretty obvious after the last half hour. I'm gonna tell you what I think has to get done. I am not gonna tell you what you would like to hear. Now, I may have to get an umbrella insurance policy to do that, but I'm gonna do it. And I'm also at the point, this is my last campaign. So I'm going to tell you. That's how I'm going to feel about doing this. Number 3, I actually think, like the question, people get this absolutely wrong. Which is, I used to say this to President Obama, I said it to myself as mayor. The one thing you got to know about politics, you got to know a lot about politics, sound is not always fury. Good leaders know the difference between sound and fury. And what I mean by that is, if you look at all the recent polls, Manhattan Institute did this 6 weeks ago, and Third Way combined 5,000 people, Democratic primary voters. What do you think 5,000's huge. What do you think the percentage is that in both polls separately, people describe themselves as? The biggest group, 50%, moderates. They think of themselves as moderates. We'll define what a moderate is. Another 25% describe themselves as pragmatic liberals. Do I think the noise is here? 100%. Do I think in a crowded field, do I look like gray, shy to you? I'll stand out. And I'm for as many people, if anybody here wants to run, go for it. I'm in. So I think, now, will there be an ideological? Sure. But I don't really care. I'm going to tell you what I think has to get done. I think we've had too much time of babying and coddling. We have to fix this country if we want to win the future. If you don't, you can restore the past and good luck with it. It's failed twice.
Okay. Yes, the lady there. Oh, who I recognize.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Sorry, I'm not looking clear.
I would like to take you back 8,000 miles to Japan
I thought I didn't want to go back. Okay, go ahead.
mentally.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say the current prime minister is controversial within Asia. The senior minister of Singapore recently said 80 years ago is still not long enough to trust Japan with regional security. She is seen as very anti-immigration. She was the protege of Shinzo Abe. I wonder what you think of his remarks about her and what the American policy should be in Asia and who our partners should be.
All right, that's two parts, so in the interest of time. One is, you go to every poll, Pew, everything in the region. The most popular country is Japan. And I'm talking about the Asian countries, Southeast Asia. Way ahead of the United States and way ahead of China. Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, just go through it. Comes out every year. Google it when you are bored with me. Just go. Now, two, she's filling a void we're leaving. Japan's the long pole of the United States policy in the Indo-Pacific. And we've done everything to make it more insecure and more vulnerable. Our strategy, let me just say this, when you look at the United States and China, I know you'll read Council of Foreign Affairs, very thoughtful people that wear double-breasted suits. I do politics. We're a permanent Pacific power and presence. You can bet long on us. China, we're the rising power, they're the declining power. Get in line and you're going to get the treatment. I just gave you strategic thinking. We've done everything to undermine our game plan. Our strategy is to isolate the isolator. China's strategy is if you get out of line, you get economic coercion, military intimidation, political isolation, and you lose your sovereignty. And the United States, because we have a president that confuses his friendships with our national security, has made every ally, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and India, worse off today in their sense of security and dependence on the United States. Nobody in that region wants an unbridled, unbridged China. And the United States just showed that we can't be relied on.
Okay. Yeah, the gentleman there, and then there's one there.
We got 4
I'm not
minutes.
looking in that direction. Quick questions, quick answers.
Oh, yes. There, don't ask it. You just have a yes, okay?
Done. You have painted a very different picture from the Democratic Socialists within the Democratic Party today, but they are winning. They're winning, you know, they won in this city, as Ed pointed out. They won yesterday or a couple of days ago in Washington, D.C. They're winning in Congress. What has to be done, in your view, to roll that back and bring the Democratic Party back to the center?
Well, again, I know you find this hard to believe. I don't agree with you. And I mean by that is, look, no disrespect to all you great New Yorkers, you're not the center of the world. You're the center of the financial world, but not the center of the political world. Winning in urban New York, winning in urban DC does not tell you what's happening in those 7 states. I gave you the 7 states that are going to decide the presidency. Name me the socialists in those 7 states. Number 2 is the principal person that was once 6'2" and 250 pounds that made Nancy Pelosi speaker. I'm not interested in somebody that takes a blue seat and makes it midnight blue. I'm interested in somebody like a Denise Powell in Omaha that can take a red seat and make it blue. You want to go spend your time in blue districts making it blue? Okay. But if I want, which is what I'm doing with my time, to give Hakeem the gavel, there's only one way to get it. Red to blue, not blue to blue. And if you're spending your time primarying people that are going to have a 92% similar voting record, you have no vision of what it takes to get power. I have spent my lifetime, and I mean this, at once I was 6'2" and 250 pounds. I'm now 148, dripping wet. Helping 2 presidents get elected, reelected, helping make Nancy Pelosi speaker. The only way from here to there is red to blue. And wait a second.
Well, we've only got a
wait a
minute
second.
left.
I'm not
All
looking
right.
at you. And I mean this. To all my fellow Democrats who think like this, do you think the ACA healthcare was a big deal? Well, there was a Democratic senator out of a state called Nebraska, is how it got passed. A Democrat in a red state. If you think the IRA under Biden was a big deal, it was a Senator Manchin, a Democrat in West Virginia. If you don't know how to convert red to blue, you're wasting my time. I'm all about power, so you can get it, something done. That strategy doesn't get Hakeem Jeffries Speaker.
We have time for one final question. I'm
51
going to go for
seconds.
a lady. I know I pointed at you, but the woman there in the pink.
What?
Thank you for being so candid. This is a really great conversation. I gotta ask.
It's not a conversation.
It's a great.
Okay, let me
it's
just
a
be
great
really good.
pre-campaign speech. Pre-campaign speech.
This is therapy for me, okay? This is not a conversation.
I feel like this is also collective therapy.
Okay, yeah.
Gonna have questions.
Well, come here. We'll hug it out afterwards, okay?
Really quickly, on Inauguration Day, this administration passed the EO on birthright citizenship, and it felt like the Democrats were caught off guard, surprised, and to this day, a year and a half later, they still feel like they are very much in disarray. There is no messaging discipline. So looking forward for the midterms, what does that look like for you, given this state?
No, okay, we're at the end. Look, 1994, 2006, 2010, 2018. When one party has a microphone and the gavel, it's a referendum. Don't make it something else. Number two, there's a law of physics in midterms when one party controls power. Massive turnout by the party voters out of power. Independents break 2-1 for that party, and low turnout among party voters in power. Democrats are 12 for 12 on every state election since November 2024. Haven't lost a statewide yet. They have gone 26 for 26, flipping state legislative seats. Republicans are 0 for 26. This is a referendum on Donald Trump and the supplicants that see no evil, speak no evil, and hear no evil in Congress. Do I think he, as the author with Nancy of the 6 and 06? Yes, you should have an agenda, but don't confuse yourself. It's about the Qatari plane and your $5 gas. It's about a pool that got spent $14 million on a no-bid contract and what it's cost you because it's $14 for a dozen eggs. Don't confuse. It's a referendum. Now, the moment that's over, it's a choice election. There's a whole wing that is about Donald Trump, of our party. Okay. Everything I've been doing that Ed's talked about on education and other things, I'm in the renewal wing. I want to show the American people we can fight for America, not just fight Donald Trump. Thanks. See ya.